Welcome to Tech Bites and Fresh Apps, a podcast about all things ServiceNow Store with a focus on the apps and the ISVs that create them. The goal of Fresh Apps is to bring store apps to life and provide customers with unique insights into the value propositions and use cases that they can implement with store apps by hearing directly from senior leaders and the technology partners themselves. My name is Martin Barkley, Director of Product Marketing for Store Developers here at ServiceNow, and it's awesome to be here today. Before we get into today's featured app and partner, I just wanted to give a brief overview and update on the store. First of all, certified apps from our technology partners enable ServiceNow customers to radically reduce time to value and make buy versus build decisions for new apps and integrations. This is huge for customers that have application backlogs and are looking for efficient ways to augment existing app development resources. I like to think of it as more SaaS for the past. More apps in the platform equals a higher value platform, and store apps are all about enabling our customers to get increasingly higher value and utility from the ServiceNow platform. The store now has over 140 apps from nearly 100 partners across 15 industries and 14 app categories. The 140 apps represents a 75% increase from store launch at Knowledge 15 9 months ago. We're now starting to see new apps published for Geneva, including today's guest, MobiChord, which is very exciting. And the pipeline of new apps is full from our several hundred technology partners. The proof of value is always in the pudding, as well over 300 ServiceNow customers have procured apps from the store. We are very pleased to see the increasing value that the store is delivering to both our partners and to our customers. A perfect example of a store app that delivers quantifiable value and return on investment to ServiceNow customers is MobiChord. So let's get down to business. I'm delighted to have with me today Herbert Uhl, co-founder and CEO of MobiChord. Welcome, Herbert.
Thank you very much for having me here to the podcast.
Yeah, it's absolutely great to have you. Thank you so much for coming all the way in from Salt Lake City. Hey, please tell our listeners about yourself.
Yeah, so I'm Herbert Uhl. I'm a German IT entrepreneur with more than 20 years experience, and I have the fortune to build up a couple of companies on the German ground. One of them I bought public, others I sold later on to larger corporations. And 4 years ago, I decided with my family to move over to this beautiful Salt Lake City in this unbelievable nature here. And we really do love it here, and so we're really happy to be here in Salt Lake, and it's, of course, my pleasure to be today with you in California in this beautiful area.
Awesome. So it's fair to characterize yourself as a serial entrepreneur. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think that's fair.
All right, cool. So hey, look, very excited to have you. Really want to get into MobiChord. So why don't we start off by telling us about MobiChord and the markets and the types of customers that you serve?
Yeah, so MobiChord is the company we started 2 years ago, so 2014, and we're right now 35 employees, and we are managing around 500,000 mobile devices right now. So let me tell you a little bit background why we founded MobiChord and what is the purpose behind this. So we as MobiChord believe that corporations have to manage the way how they use mobility in the organization to really have a way to manage mobile devices in a really good way. When we look at corporations today, they're normally managing their mobile devices with different systems. So you have your Excel spreadsheets, you have the carrier portals, you have some organizational information, and you have technical solutions like Mobile Iron or AirWatch in order to take care about technology and technical management of these devices, rolling out application, everything else. And what we saw was that companies who were managing mobility right and really adapting mobile technologies and mobilizing their business, they get a competitive advantage against their peers. Normally, they are performing better on the top line, on the bottom line, but they get perfect records in kind of customer satisfaction and employee satisfaction. And that is really where we are about to help companies achieve that. to really get transparency about their mobile fleet, automate all the processes, and really ensure that they pay the carrier exactly that what they use for.
That's great. So, yeah, I mean, we like to think about it, here at ServiceNow as sort of shifting cost to value. So it sounds like, you're all about, at least part of what you do is taking cost out of the business and enabling businesses to redirect that to things that are actually going to, drive revenue and results.
Absolutely. I think that's the key for success. Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
All right, great. So, hey, tell us about the app. So the app is called Mobile Expense and Asset Management. Very clear. But give us an overview of what the app does and kind of what benefits it delivers for customers.
The app, MobiChord, really provides the customers a solution to run their mobile initiatives on top of, right? So you know exactly what kind of mobile devices you have. From the technical side, you have a full inventory. You have all the organizational information from ServiceNow already together. You have all the carrier information also with that. So you really have a holistic view on a mobile device without going into different systems, reconciling them, and trying to get a good understanding of that. That means you can easily, for example, buy a mobile device with just a click. It takes a couple of seconds instead of getting some emails done, coming together, putting it to the carrier portal, get the device later on. So you just request it in your ServiceNow portal, and then the device appears. And you have a full transparency about all the asset-related information, and in addition to all the carrier information. You know exactly what plan is on which device, what you're using, what kind of data you are leveraging, how many minutes you are using, what cost you have, and you can really backcharge it to the business. So you really have one system where you can run mobility on top of, with all the transparency that comes with that, with all the time savings which comes with that, and with the money savings which comes to that by stopping wasteful expenses on the carrier side. So really hard dollar savings, what the application brings you. Some customers really called our solution kind of ERP for mobility, a single system of record for mobility. That is somehow how customers call our system, to really the one place where you get all the question answers in concern of mobility.
Yeah, that's a great way to describe it, ERP for mobility. And yeah, I mean, I guess, the combination of ServiceNow platform and ServiceNow, incident problem change management with MobiChord is really a powerful combination for customers.
Absolutely. And ServiceNow, and that was the reason why we built not our own platform. When we decided 2 years ago to start the company, we decided to use ServiceNow for the one reason. Mobility management is change management. Think about it. All the applications you're getting new to the system, the change of the data usage you have, the change of the devices, the change of the carrier, of the plans, of the features, from everything you have there is really so imminent that you have changes every day, nearly at every phone. And so at the end, you need a back-end system which first of all can handle all these CIs and assets in a beautiful way, but can manage also change management with the workflow, with everything around that. And that is really why we believe that ServiceNow is the right platform to build it on, where you have all the organizational information already in the systems where you can then base your processes on, and they're absolutely integrated in the corporate processes of the customers. So there's not another external system where you have to manage it, where you have to synchronize data or get things done. So you really have this one system where you can drive your business upon on. So the power of ServiceNow that helps us really to fulfill the requirements from the large enterprises. And that's really a beautiful and strong cooperation we have there. And we are so happy that we have ServiceNow as our platform to really solve all the enterprise-grade requirements from the customers. That is awesome.
Yeah, that's great. So, I mean, it's really a, as you said, an ERP for mobility. It's essentially a complete life cycle management. Right from the very onboarding of an employee to ordering of that device, and then to everything that happens from then on in terms of provisioning and change management, as you said. Incident management, so any issues with the device, any new applications that are installed, security, which we'll get into in a couple of questions. So, yeah, like a true end-to-end solution integrated with the ServiceNow platform. I think that's fantastic for customers. So listen, when we met at Now Forum in London, I saw your booth at the exhibit area, and what popped into my mind when you showed me, the application was really that it really struck me as being like the true car for enterprise mobile expense management. Do you see it that way?
Yeah, man, I totally remember this moment. It was, for me, an eye-opening effect, actually. Yeah, so it was, we were at the floor, and we were talking about our product, and then you came up and said, "Hey, isn't it like TrueCar?" And I said, "Wow, I haven't thought about that." But actually, that is exactly a part of that what we do, where the customer really get hard dollar savings, right? So with everything we do with the telecom expenses, we are building KPIs for a phone line. So what are the average costs on the service for a smartphone, for a data device, or whatever it is? And let's, for example, to say, well, here's a corporation that have $80 per month what they are paying for. And then you see, okay, with that usage, everything around that, we provide them a benchmark and say, well, our customers which have that usage profile, what you have, they are paying $60. So the customer can directly see whether they have a good deal with the carrier or whether there's room for optimization, right? On the other side, you really see when you go there and say, well, I have there $40 and the benchmark is $60, then you say, hey, you did an awesome job and you outperform all the competitors and everyone else we have with the super deal with the carrier. And so, yeah, of course, yes, that is really a true car effect on telecom expense management. I haven't thought about that as well, but it popped in my mind as I was saying. I said, oh, yeah, that's exactly one of the part what we're doing to help customers really saving hard dollars.
Yeah, that's a very, very powerful solution. I mean, as a CFO or as a CIO, to actually be able to see what other companies, of your size and in your industry are actually paying to the various operators, and that gives you negotiation leverage. It gives you information that, as you said, translates into hard dollar savings, which it doesn't get much more clear than that.
Absolutely.
So, the other interesting part, we talked about this before also, is that you provide a single interface, right? So I just wanted to call that out, and that, you provide a unified interface across all of the various operators that a company may be using. And, as you've said, with large companies, that could be literally, in the tens or close to hundreds of different operators around the world. And so can you maybe just talk a little bit about that unified interface and how that drives efficiencies?
Yeah, so that is one of a perfect example from my understanding between the cooperation between ServiceNow and MobiChord. So with the platform from ServiceNow, we have multi-currency readiness. So when you get information from different kind of carriers, so for example, let's say you're a US-based company, you have the classical US carriers with giving you the invoice in US dollars. And then, for example, you have a UK office and you have with a carrier there and you get British pounds. So the reporting you would like to see in a reporting currency, like in this case, I would assume US dollars. So what we can do is with this interface, what we have built, so this portal, which is a portal where you do not need to have any handbook for or anything else. It's really consumer-grade enterprise software, right? Because we would like that every user can use it without having a training, that it gets deployed fast and that it can be adopted very, very fast. So that you in the report really see better your telecom expense cost per cost center, per area you are, per line, what have you, that you can really see that in the US dollar. And then can drill down into the carrier and see, okay, well, that was my spending on whatever, for example, AT&T or Verizon, or that was my spend on Vodafone, so that you can see that. And we are doing that not only for the invoicing, so that you have an invoice reporting, we are doing it also for every kind of ordering and change processes. So these is MACD processes, so modify, add, change type of thing. So when you go in the ServiceNow portal in our UI and goes to a line and say, well, I would like to suspend the line, you hit a button, say next, and it's done. So you do not have to go into the carrier portal and perform anything there. We have integrations to them that is fully automated. So all this manual work from swivel sharing between the systems goes away. And you simply click and you have it done. And it doesn't matter which carrier is behind that. So it's the same UI what you have to go against AT&T, the same what you have to go against Telstra in Australia, or Vodafone UK in the UK, or whatever. So that is really a single interface which streamlines the process and make it simple. And everything is there. Our key point is simplifying. Make this huge complex thing, mobility management, simple, intuitive, without any training necessities.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, that really goes to the whole notion of streamlining and automating workflows. I mean, that's sort of just an uber example of that, and really taking costs out in terms of the amount of time it takes to get stuff done, and the learning curve for admins and so forth. So that's a very important aspect of what you do.
And really make it transparent for everyone, right? So that everyone knows what to do, what there. So simply a very easy use case. A user, a sales guy, for example, is traveling from the UK to the US, for example, and they need to have a coverage here on the US now. It's 2 clicks away, and they can do that. Or any administrating person for them can do that. And that is not a kind of a big hassle anymore. It's really like the Uber effect, as you pointed out. You see it, you just say you would like to have it, and it's done. Yep.
Yeah, I could have used that feature when I traveled to London. So that's actually a very real world use case right there. I mean, with all the planning that you have to do ahead of an international business trip, and then of course at the last minute you realize, I don't have an international plan. What am I going to do? Am I going to use Skype when I'm over there? Or am I going to buy a local SIM card? That would be very beneficial.
Yeah, and it can be a very costly one. So we have seen invoices for roaming. They were in the 5. The largest one we saw was really 6 digits. Yeah. So where someone simply just downloaded the file with horrendous roaming costs, right? So that are things that can be very costly, and that are things where we help the customer also with our proactive system in the back end to get the mobility manager a notification to say, hey, by the way, here's someone roaming, and he do not have a roaming package. So we really help avoiding this kind of shocks you get then sometimes with the invoices.
So Herbert, we mentioned security before. On that point, can you describe the MobiChord integration with mobile security solutions from MobileIron and AirWatch?
Sure. These EMM, MDM vendors like MobileIron and AirWatch are automating the configuration of mobile device, deploying application, and so much more. They are focused on the technical side of mobility management. MobiChord manage on the other side the carrier, the wireless carriers, and mobile processes like ordering a device or suspending a device. And with the integration, and we have a full API-based integration to MobileIron and AirWatch into MobiChord, we bring these things together to really trustworthy single system of record. And with that integration, ServiceNow customers can easily perform action against mobile devices like resetting a passcode or deploying application out of ServiceNow to a mobile phone. And that's everything without any swivel sharing between the systems. And that saves a lot of time. And on the other side, it documents the whole process with approval processes and everything around that in the ServiceNow system. And that is one example how MobiChord saves time for the customers.
So hey, let's shift gears a little bit. So, one of the reasons that I wanted to have you on the podcast today was just the UI, and we've touched on it, but the user experience, both from the admin or the fulfiller side as well as the actual end user. So maybe just kind of tell us about the design and how you implemented the UI. Both. It's available obviously on the web, and then it's also available on mobile devices. Just talk us through the UI.
Yeah, so the UI is for us a very important piece of our application, given that we are targeting the mobile administrator on the one hand, so more a centralized person, but also every employee who has a mobile device to really self-service. So for us, it's very important to generate consumer-grade software. And we were using and leveraging Bootstrap and AngularJS in a very early stage to really make it very easy. And as I mentioned, simplification is our key point. As less information we can show, as better it is, as long as supports still the process, right? So that is the idea behind that we do not would like to have people having to read manuals before to understand how to use the software. It should be so intuitive, and that's where we spend a lot of time on to think through the user experience and walk through it. So that's the kind of thing is you can describe with 1,000 of words, but my recommendation would be honestly, let the user simply try it out and let them get a feeling on that. And you see that you have dashboards where you see a global solution for the whole corporation. Doesn't matter whether you have hundreds of devices or 10,000 or 100,000 of devices. You have one dashboard, you click in and you can go right to the details and then make changes and fix things. So it's really a way where you can absolutely effectively work in it. And that is what we try to do. And we're really happy to see that ServiceNow is on the same way. When I look what you have done with the current Geneva release, and on the other side, what's upcoming with the new Helsinki version next year. So there are a lot of things where really UI is really the things which drives adoption and which makes things much easier.
Yeah, it's obviously key. I mean, it doesn't matter how sophisticated or great your system is on the back end. If somebody can't, easily adopt it and actually use it in a I'll say delightful way, for lack of a better term, but to really enjoy using it, then it's a huge, barrier to usage, and it kind of defeats the whole purpose. But yeah, that's great that you guys are out ahead in terms of using, you mentioned Angular and Bootstrap, and that will be coming in the H release shortly, upcoming here this year. And so, yeah, it's a great example. And I think, like you said, the best way for customers to really understand the UI is to actually take it for a free trial or a free test drive, right?
Absolutely. And that is really one of the key points where we have to talk to maybe later is how a customer can really simply try it out to get ideas how they can build their portal also. It's not just only about using our application. It's really, hey, there are things you can do with ServiceNow, and that's the way how you can do the things.
Right.
Or if you like a couple of things we are doing there. So we're happy to share how we have done it and give some assistance there as well.
Great. So let's talk about customers. Can you walk us through some examples of customers who've implemented MobiChord and kind of the before and after picture, what the benefits that they realized were?
Yeah, happy to talk about customers. I think customers is really are making a product live, right? So and bringing it alive. You can think about in your ivory tower so much about cool things you would like to have, but at the end, the proof is at the customer side and when the rubber meets the road, right? And so for a customer perspective, as I mentioned, we were in the first 2 years, we were more on a kind of invitation-only type of approach to really build our product out and get the proof of concept done and get it really to a very mature solution. And so what we have done in that time with our lighthouse customers, one of them is Vitas. Vitas is the largest nursing provider in North America. Vitas is a perfect example for automation and how we save time. So Vitas was rolling out a lot of tablets and phones to the nurses to optimize the process, to really mobilize their business. So they're really mobilized and through all the nursing processes. And what they have done before we were there were a lot of emails going back and forth between the mobile team and the nurses and the responsible structure there to get who needs a new device, who get what, and to bring together the ordering, right, to get all the information in it so that you then can order the device and that it when comes directly gets enrolled, secured in the mobile device management solution. In their case, it's AirWatch, to bring it in and really automatically deploy it and have it done. The same thing with repairing a device, changing the device, all this life cycle processes. And there was a lot of email going back and forth. For asset management, there was a couple of Excel spreadsheets where the data gets pulled together out of different scenarios. And that was a really manual process. And by bringing this total systems on the ServiceNow platform and consolidating that to one system, we were able to release 2 administrative persons from their duty at that point so that they will be able to redeploy them, which these 2 people right now helping really the operation process and really supporting the nursing process with that. And so there's a huge time savings on that, which really make a single system of records really imminent. Yeah? So that is an example with Vitas. And it's really a great thing to look at. And what Vitas was doing with the mobile project is really awesome. Another example of what I have for simply just the small thing. So we talk with customers a lot of time. They say, well, okay, I could do some small tweaks on my mobile bill, but at the end, is it really worthwhile the effort for the return I get? And as an example there, I have Hess Oil and Gas. They are using our software since a while, and they were looking with us through the alerts. So all the things where we see a kind of unnecessary carrier spendings. So for example, you are paying for a mobile device, but it's not really used. It's in a drawer or somewhere. And we have to really see that sometimes devices you would not like to have a usage when there's special devices like disaster recovery device or other things. But we are talking about normal devices. And you pay for them, doesn't matter whether you use them or not. And so we were figuring out what device they are not using. We were looking at devices which are used totally different. So for example, devices with a high data volume, where they then got penalized because the plan was not covering everything, just covering a part of that. And on the other, and there was a lot of other examples where they had, for example, roaming features on a device, which was put in when someone went out internationally. But out of the process, it simply just stayed at the line, and then they paid for it, but the next month, the person was not traveling. So all the small changes are constantly right now adding up and were automatically solved with our software, that they were able to reduce their wireless spans month by month by 15%, slight over 15%. Just these small things like, here's a package what are not used, here's a feature what are not used, here are devices what are not really leveraging, and that end up to 15%, and our software automates that. So it's really cut down the wasteful savings on the carrier side. So that's another example how we save really hard dollar with the carrier. The last example I have is more kind of an audit example. So given the whole change you have in the mobile world that you deployed a couple of new mobile devices and mobile applications on a device, and then you directly jump up with the data usage. And maybe your plan doesn't cover it. So from time to time, you always have to do an audit and review whether your plans are still covering the usage you really have. And we did this checking for a large, fast-growing technology company. And we were able to save this company by really adjusting the plans and making some tough negotiation with the carriers to save them over $1 million per year on carrier spending. Over $1 million. Yeah. And that doesn't mean they have to change any carrier, or the people get less on services or quality. They got the same service, the same quality, but simply paying the $1 million less.
That's superb. I mean, that means that company could hire like 4 new engineers even in Silicon Valley to develop products to drive revenue, so that you're directly taking OPEX and turning it into to revenue, basically.
Yeah, what you said is always about getting your operation more efficient, taking away the cost, and driving it into value. Yeah. And generating more value. That is the shift, what you would like to do, and that is really what we stand for, to really generate hard dollar savings, as well as really saving the time with automation and ensuring the data transparency. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when you start talking about $1 million a year in operating expense savings, that goes right to the bottom line, and that's just a tremendous benefit to that customer. Well, hey, look, we could go on and on here. It's such a great app and so many customers and benefits, but it's probably time to wrap up. I just wanted to ask you sort of a parting question as to kind of what do you see on the road ahead for 2016 for MobiChord and your customers. What are you looking for? What gets you excited about this year?
Yeah, so we are all fired up for the year, and we are so happy to be on the ServiceNow store, so that really we have access to the ServiceNow sales guys, and so they are capable to sell our solution. And that is really the point where we are right now open to the public. As I mentioned before, is we were in the first 2 years, we really built up a really reliable and enterprise-ready product. And now with this year, we are going out, building up our sales organization, really going out. And so with that, I'm very happy to announce that we have right now the capability through the ServiceNow store to really have a free trial. And I would really recommend it to everyone to say, hey, simply try it out and have a feeling how it is to really manage your mobile expenses within ServiceNow, on top of ServiceNow. And you will get a perspective on your wireless expense for free, and you get really the transparency that you can see, okay, if that's something which really would generate you a ton of value and would really help you. And if it's the case, we are more than happy to talk with you about that and go further. But really take it for a spin, try it out, because words doesn't cut it in this way. That is really a kind of experience where you have to see what does it really mean to get all this silos from Excel spreadsheets and databases you have, or however you're managing your mobile world today. We would like to change that in your thinking to say that is easy, that is simplified in one solution, in one ERP system for mobility where you can run it, and it makes fun to work with. So just go to that. It's absolutely for free. You get a lot of ton of value of that, because the transparency we give you on the mobile costs and devices, I believe the majority of the customers will not have it today. So it will be gain a lot of value for you for free, and then we can take it from there. So that is really where we are so excited about the ServiceNow store, that there's a capabilities which brings the store, where we wouldn't be able to pull it up as a company like MobiChord. And so we are so excited for us and for the customers to get this value, to really have mobility under control, and to really be able to drive the mobilization, that the corporations can prosper, getting better customer satisfaction, getting better employee satisfaction, and really drive the value. that is really where we're so excited about, and I do not have the words to describe it actually.
That's great, and that's great to hear. I mean, the store is sort of enabling the free trial and a really easy access to the free trial. I mean, a customer can just go to the store.servicenow.com and click on on the MobiChord listing and just click a button and get a free trial. So that's really fantastic.
Yeah, and that's really the point where I think it's remarkable what you have built with ServiceNow, right? With this store, with this scoped app, where this can be simply installed as simply as it is to install an app on an iPhone or on an Android device, as easy it is to implement an application on top of your ServiceNow system with the scoped app. And so it doesn't have any influence to any other customization you have done or other things there. So that's what the certification clarifies. So that is so huge that we can generate value on top of the ServiceNow platform in a heartbeat, right? Not in a big project where you take quarters or whatever in order to get it done. It's in a heartbeat. It's simply just, boom, install the scoped app and you're there. And that is unseen in the market space. So I'm absolutely a fan from the ServiceNow store, and that is a huge shift for bringing value based upon the platform.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, listen, Herbert, it's been fantastic to talk to you today. Really great insights into your company and the mobile expense and asset management application, how it works with ServiceNow and how it can benefit customers. And, of course, the best way to find out is to go to the store and to request a free trial. So, that's a wrap for this episode of Tech Bytes Fresh Apps. Thank you again, Herbert, and I hope to see you at CreatorCon and Knowledge 16 in Vegas in May.
Sure, and
All right.
Once again, thank you very much for having me, and thank you so much.
All right. Thank you all.